All right. Now, Ricky, you can do your thing.
Oh my God, hold on. I have to mute the
he's hearing
because
double.
I'm getting an echo. All right, there we
Echo,
go.
echo, echo.
Hello, y'all. Even though there's no, oh no, there's two people in here. Oh, look at that. Well,
Me and
hey,
you.
is that us? Oh,
Yep,
us,
that's you
us,
guys.
us, and
uh,
them.
okay. Hey, and thanks for joining us, and welcome back to the show. We're a couple disabled guys passionate about all things accessibility. I'm Ricky, your local quadriplegic. With me always is Bill,
Hey.
the man with weak muscles but a strong heart. And last but not least, we have John.
Yo, how's it going?
He may not be able to see, but is always a sight for sore eyes. Together, we make up Real Life
uh,
Problems, a podcast by the disabled, for the disabled, and maybe the able bodied too. So, here we are. How's everyone doing? How's your week? How is it since last Friday?
I don't know. I had a rough beginning to the week because I don't know this I've just been having these issues with like just cabin fever, which I know for some people that are more in their center when they're at home, it's just not that for me. I don't know,
No.
but I've been
So
getting
what?
out. I got out. I've been doing more rolls through the neighborhood. Um, hadn't been really doing that, so and I'm trying to be more lax about my schedule. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, how do you handle that? How do you handle stress?
um, I think a
Poorly?
lot of what was that?
I said poorly.
Poorly, apparently. Poorly this week because we don't have the audio form of last week's episode, but it did get uploaded to YouTube, so you definitely can check that out. That was a good episode too. I felt like it was a good one, so you can check that out. And then the audio soon to come.
To hear. But no, how do you handle stress?
um, I think a lot of times the way that I handle stress is I don't know. I found that it is very therapeutic for me to go outside and try to reconnect with nature, if you will. Um, I do. What I really want to start doing is I think County, Prince William Forest Park is right near us, and I want to check that out at some point soon because they got a lot of handicap trails, and I feel like it'd be kind of a nice little escape from like everything that's going on. Even though I
Oops.
know the COVID's out there, but I've just been thinking about maybe trying to get myself to one of those parks soon.
I went to Prince William County Park once. I don't know. The one location I went to had just like a 1 mile loop,
Yeah, there's like several.
paved. It was tiny, but it was enjoyable.
I don't
I
know. It's
liked it.
just
It's been a couple years though since I've been.
it's just like that reconnection. I feel like a lot of times that and I'm also finding like realizing like just how to like kind of enjoy the moments that you have like when you're able to get together with friends. Like it's making me feel like I appreciate those times even more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, times getting together with friends in person here lately are definitely in short supply.
Right, and it just makes me kind of realize that hey, I kind of uh, I don't know, I kind of miss that, and it's like yeah, I guess maybe part of me is seeing like how you can take this situation and kind of see it as maybe a way to be a little bit more grateful about those sorts of things, the little things in life, if you will. Not to get all crazy sentimental, but I think it's true. I think
No, that's true.
we do need to think
Enjoy the
about
little
these things.
things.
Exactly. That's one of the things that I feel that our society misses a lot of the time.
Yeah, we just
Like,
because yeah.
It's all about big extravagance and such.
and
But
the rush, rush, rush. Gotta do this, gotta do that, do this now, buy this now, spend money here.
Consume,
yeah,
consume, consume.
Yeah.
I just
agree.
yeah.
How do you handle stress, John?
I chill out with a video game.
How different is that than any other time?
It's not.
So
I did.
you're just constantly stress free.
I try to live my life without stress because it's bad for you medically.
True.
This is true.
Stress is a killer.
What about you? What about you? What about you, Ricky? What do you?
Um, I I go outside. That's one thing for
Yeah.
sure. And then I kind of I'll go outside, I'll scream where no one can hear me. That's one thing for sure. And then two, I'll also talk to myself.
You'll
Like
scream
I'll be like,
outside. Hmm.
yeah.
T-
I just
it-
give out a lot of just ah. But the main important thing I do is I literally talk to myself and like, all right, why are you feeling stressed out? Like, well, I'm stressed out because there's a bunch of fucking school going on right now. It's like, well, what can you do about it? It's like doing it. It's like, okay, so you're doing it. So why are you stressing out? Because it's hard. It's hard fucking work. Or like, yeah, I understand it's hard. Like I literally have like that
yeah. Well,
conversation with myself where I'm like, I'm playing devil's advocate with myself, trying to get to the root of the problem. Like, oh, I see why I'm really stressed out and things, and that
well, yeah.
usually tends to work out for me.
That's actually a valid tactic. You
Oh yeah,
know, the common metric is that you're a crazy person if you talk to yourself. Well, I've found that sometimes I've had better conversations with myself than I have with some people. So,
yeah. It just sucks knowing like you have to get over that weird awkward hump of like, oh, I'm talking to myself. You know exactly. There's that weird stigma on it. It's like, oh, you're talking to yourself, weirdo.
you're
Yeah.
But
crazy.
I actually learned that from going to therapy.
Well, I know that the screaming thing, I've seen it in, I've seen it depicted in several movies where it was about someone that was dealing with stress. It makes me think of this one movie in particular. It's this film called Honey Boy, and Honey Boy was it's basically the story of Shia LaBeouf and him being a child actor and the destructive relationship he had with his father. And it's just about how, this led down a path of destruction because at one point the guy was completely off the rails. I mean, he was drinking, making an ass out of himself publicly on several occasions, and just got in a lot of trouble. And it kind of depicts this one part in therapy where the lady just says to the guy, because the guy Shia LaBeouf actually plays his father. It's really weird. And then there's another character playing him. Um, they go by different names, but you know that
Hmm.
it's known that it's what it's about. But anyways, there's one part where he just gives out this primal scream, and it's just like him letting out all this stuff, like just letting it out and just pushing it. It's almost like a physical a physical manifestation of literally like belting your demons out of your body, I guess, in a way.
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like that's a release. I feel like that's a form of release for people. Which don't get all
It is.
excited. I'm not talking about that. Um, but screaming. Just in case you came in at the middle of that, I don't want anybody to get any ideas here. But
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but
No
Yeah, we're
ideas.
talking all about coming.
in the channel.
No,
Um,
I've I had never seen that movie, but I do. Was a good Shia LaBeouf movie that I saw recently, which I think is a good segue to our topic of conversation is
yeah.
Peanut Butter Falcon. Have you seen that?
Oh, that
Mm-mm.
was delayed. Peanut Butter Falcon. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Well, okay, so the story is Shia LaBeouf plays this like ruffian guy who's just trying to make his way about through life. And then there's
Yeah.
this guy who lives in a nursing home who has I believe it's Down syndrome. He's
Hmm.
got some kind of mental handicap on him,
Right. Right. Right.
but
Okay.
he's still just he's trying to escape that place, and eventually he finally does. He escapes
Uh.
it, and he just wants to go out and live and find this wrestling guy, and then him and Shia LaBeouf like interact with each other, and they end up
Yeah.
becoming best friends because Shia LaBeouf literally treats him just like a regular person, where
Right.
the guy's like, I'm slow, it's like, and he's like, I don't care how slow you are, keep up, yeah. And he like eventually the Down syndrome guy's caretaker, this girl that really cares about him, finds him and stuff, and she starts treating him like he's handicapped and stuff. It's like, no, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. He's like, I don't want to do that. And then Shia LaBeouf comes like, he's like, uh, he may be mentally disabled, but you don't have to treat him like he is,
Yeah.
and such. And there's a part in the movie, it's like beautifully written where they're on this little raft where he calls her out on it, and then she kind of like sees the arrow away. She's like, "Oh, what?" And she's like, "Don't tell me how to take care of someone I care about, and then she ends up seeing like their relationship, how they're like best friends,
Yeah.
and ends up it's very very well done
Hmm.
and very relatable, especially for anyone who has some kind of like handicap, whether it be physical or mental. So,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good segue to ableism, as you said.
Yeah, which
How
isn't really a term that it isn't really a term that I ever really um like I don't know. I it didn't really come across it like for a while. And I know it existed, I guess, but I don't know, I just never really connected that word you know, to anything specific, but I mean, you know, if we want to get technical here, which I'm thinking maybe might not be a bad idea. I am kind of curious by definition what exactly they define it as, even though I
you
think
didn't
we
even look
all.
up the definition of ableism before titling this episode?
Well, no, I've
How
read it. I've read
ableism
it many
affected you?
times. I thought it was.
Uh-huh, sure you have. Yeah.
Well, no, I thought it was exactly as I thought, which is discrimination in favor of able-bodied people over
You just
handicapped people.
pulling
Obviously,
words out of your ass and throwing them onto an episode description.
just making up words. No, it actually exists. It's another ism, as if we need any more isms in our life, but because usually isms aren't always good things in most cases. But yeah,
Yeah, in most cases they're not.
I figured that
Liberism, is that a word? That's a good one.
but no,
Um,
I just didn't know the definition exactly, so I just wanted to make sure that we got it out there, just in case anybody was curious.
so
But
you pulled the word right out of your ass. Is what you're saying.
no,
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, see, John's on our side.
it existed. It
Wait, no,
existed.
John's on my. No, he is on my right. Yeah, now I'm pointing at John. See.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Whatever. Whatever.
I don't see. I'm the blind guy, remember?
Oversight. Oversight. Okay. A slight oversight. Okay. I don't. But I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, though. Like I think it. I think it is because I think it's just like, you know, ableism. Obviously, people that are able-bodied. You know.
Okay,
And
well, now that you have the definition pulled up, read us the exact definition.
okay, that's what I was trying to do. Okay, because we know.
Yeah, I have to throw some shit at you first.
Okay.
Yeah, had to.
Yeah.
Can't treat you special because you're in a wheelchair.
We treat everybody equal. Yeah. Hopefully.
Exactly.
Let's see here. Ableism is discrimination and social prejudice against people of disabilities or who are perceived to have disabilities. Ableism characterizes persons as defined by their disability and inferior to non-disabled. Well, fuck
Can you use it in a sentence? Is there a sentence there?
That guy is an ableist and he is a piece of shit.
So ableist and ableism has a negative connotation.
Well, clearly, I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you like being thought of as inferior? I mean, if you do, maybe you're into that sort of thing. Maybe that's the only catharsis you can
I
find.
am inferior, but no. Maybe
I mean,
I don't know. Have you ever been ableized? Would that be the proper term for that? Like, I've been. If someone exerts ableism onto you, were you just ableized?
I don't know if that would be the right term for it, to be honest.
I mean,
I don't know if there is a term for it.
But
It
see,
sounds right though, right?
but see, I think there's a difference. I think there's a confusion because I think there's some people that just are, just not compassionate people and just don't give a shit about. They're equal opportunists when it comes to being a shitty person. You know, like
They'll
they're just
shit on everyone.
they shit on everyone. They don't care about anything. They just do whatever the fuck they want, you know, and you know, just live like assholes, you know, because it's like some people are just like, you know, people parking a handicap spot. I don't automatically label that person ableist because that's not fair. Because I don't think that necessarily means that they think I'm inferior. I think it just means that maybe they're just not thinking about other people, and they're like, oh, I just need to do this real quick, whatever, you know, I don't care. Or there's just like no thought about it. I don't, because I think sometimes we give people too much credit and think that they went out of their way to be prejudiced And in actuality, it's just that they don't give a shit about anybody or anything, or they're just so damn absent-minded. I mean, I don't know if I would use that word, but they just don't care about other things, and they just don't. You know, there's a lack of
More negligent.
maybe just being fucking negligent is
Yeah, there you go. That's a good word.
the fucking
I
word
think
that I'm
that
looking for.
I think that would be the best word to use here is negligent.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever had an instance where you were ableized or negligized or discriminated against because of the
Um.
wheels underneath your butt or the light that's not going into your eyes?
Well,
I
okay.
can't say that I have.
I have an interesting thing. So my first job that I worked at well, I'm gonna just say my first job. I'm not even going to say where it was at. Um, it was at a pharmacy. Anyways,
Do
I
they have
noticed
really long receipts?
sometimes,
All
but that could
right.
be many. So, anyways, regardless, let me get to the juice of this. So, basically, I got hired on. It was my first. Well, it wasn't my first job, but it was one of my first like big. It's my first retail job. Let's put it that way. Anyways, I started there. Things were fine. It seemed like I got hours, and I started to wonder like there was other people getting hours, and then I just thought, I finally. I finally had the nerve to ask my boss that, like, look, do you have an issue with, like, is there an issue because you're worried that I'm not able to sufficiently perform the job because I'm in a wheelchair? And then she got offended by this, the fact that I would even think that, because I was asking her. I flat out asked her this question, and then I noticed things got even worse for me from then on. It was like this manager just had it out for me, and I ended up getting even less hours and stuff, and it was just a really odd situation. Like, I just did not understand, because I think she had it. I think she literally had an issue with. I don't know. It seemed like she had an issue with my ability to be able to do a lot of the work at the counter and stuff, and I was able to do the job. It's just, I'm talking like I would go maybe a month sometimes without any work, and it was bullshit. So it was hard for me not to think that. So I don't know if I don't know. I feel like she started actually doing it when I brought up something. I feel like even before that happened. So I don't know. It was a weird situation. It was a really fucking weird situation.
So how did that all end? Did you quit or were you fired?
I ended up quitting. I ended up quitting to get another job, and I ended up working at good old Wally World. Oh man,
How old were you when
Yay,
this was
Wally
this?
World.
this was back in around. I was there for 3 years. It was from '05 to about.
So that was your high school job.
Yeah, it was during high school. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It was just a, and I don't know. I can't really confirm it, but I mean, there was something off there. There was something off there. There's something weird going on, because I noticed other people were getting hours just fine.
Well,
So
maybe she just didn't like you.
yeah, I think that was just the case. I think she just had an issue. Um,
I mean, it also could. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but maybe
yeah,
she just didn't know how feel comfortable enough to know how to bring up the topic. How to converse with it. Be like, hey, you're handicapped. Uh, see, I don't even know how to talk about it.
yeah. She
Well,
is.
yeah, no, that sucks. If that really is the case, then yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a, but it's not something that, like, I'm not. I didn't lose sleep over. I was just like, oh, that's a bitch ass thing to do. Like, it was just kind of
Right.
like frustrating. It's just like, I'm just trying to work like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't
Hmm.
know, that's really the only experience that I can really say that I've related to, because I mean, I know there are people out there, but um, I don't know. I've never seen anything where there was like people that were actually on a vendetta to go against like um, handicapped people.
Ooh, sorry, I just got distracted. There's huge lightning strike.
Ooh.
What is it?
Yeah,
Is it
it's thunder.
there's thunder outside?
Oh yeah, there's thunder. All right, how about this guy right here to my right?
I haven't really ran into that either, surprisingly.
But I feel like your handicap is a lot harder to like, kind of pun intended, a lot harder to see. Like,
Yeah, he's probably like, tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
let's say you're standing in a room full of people, right? And you're just standing there. No one's gonna see you and their first initial reaction is be like, "Oh, he's blind or he got a handicap," unless you're doing,
Unless they see my cane.
yeah, exactly. But like for me or Bill, they'll see the wheelchair and they'll be like, "Oh, yep, instantly
Yeah,
handicap."
yeah. I mean, I think I would pick, but I think from the amount of people that I've been with different handicaps, um, I think blindness is one that I think in some cases I'd be able to pick up on certain things.
I mean, once you look like, and absolutely no offense to you, John. If I look at you long enough, I can start to tell that there's something up with your eyes. Like if you look straight at the camera,
Yeah.
they're drifting around and stuff. They're not really like.
But I
Yeah.
mean, at first when he turns though, it looks like
He just looked like
yeah,
an adorable scruff.
yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. He's got more of a wizard beard now.
Yeah.
But
I know I've had instances where I have been ableized. We're coining that term now. But
ableize me, Captain. No.
it's never been such like an issue for me where I hold on to it because I'm like, all right, whatever, that's
You
on
just
them.
think
It's
it's
not
just
me.
another douchebag, right? It's just another
Yeah, exactly. Where
waste of life.
I don't hold on to these things and remember them forever, so I forget them like pretty easily. But I know there is an instance where someone has treated me differently. I just can't pinpoint it, but I know it's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. Or there's like I just thought of another thing. Two things that I thought of. Have you ever had the situation where it was like the people that you were with are more upset about what someone did, or they'll be like that
Oh my
person.
God, yes.
They'll be like that person was staring at you, and I'm like, what? What? Like I don't even notice it anymore. It's been so long that I don't even see it. I don't even see it. What up, Malden? I don't even see it. Like, and then they're more mad. Like my friends are more angry about. They're like, why didn't that piss you off? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Was it supposed to?
Yeah,
There's
what am I
like
gonna do about it? Who gives a
there's
fuck?
there's like what happened? Like I'm like, what happened? They're like, oh, that person was staring at you, and they were clearly making judgment. It's like,
Oh God, yeah, I cannot stand that when someone talks for me or gets pissed off for me, and then thinking that they're doing me a favor by being mad for me. It's like I'm mad because they did this to you. I'm like, so am I? Do I look like I'm mad? I don't give a shit. Stop being mad for me.
Yeah.
or the other thing that I've noticed is when the person looks at your care attendant or person with you and talks to that person as if you were not
Oh,
fucking there. That
oh
is
yeah,
bullshit.
that gets under my skin real deep.
But
Yeah.
those are dick things. Like those to me are actually like, examples of where I think that's like that is an example of being ignorant. Like an ignorant person or just
But
immediately I don't know. It's not
at
even
the same
ignorance.
time, at the same time, as much as it pisses me off, I get it. I understand. Like there aren't like handicapped people everywhere out in the world that you're not going to encounter. Like it's a touchy thing because there are those people that like get offended. Like
Right.
if you do like talk to them or you do like not everyone is as cool and chill and relaxed as we are. But
Yeah, but
you
there's like
know,
it's like, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey man, I'm just trying to be cool, man. Hey man." Like I keep I
Hey,
recently
dude, chill out, man.
I
but
was
the reason why they do that though is because that's the safest option for them to not like accidentally anger or upset someone, and it turns out that's like the safest option is the wrong option.
It's the option that actually
or
does the upsetting.
or
Yeah,
something
exactly.
that I've
Yeah.
noticed is like for instance like there's been cases where someone was just in such a rush to get in somewhere, and I was right behind them. Then they let the door slam, and I'm like, but that happens to other people. I've seen that
Yeah,
happen
that
to.
happens to everyone. They even
Yeah,
even if you're
it
walking or not.
does. It happens to everybody.
But I feel like there's some people, I don't know, I feel like then the other problem with ableism is that I feel like there's some people that are like actually actively searching for a person to accuse of it. Like I feel like there's some handicapped people
You got an example you can pull out of your pocket
that will
there? 'Cause
go
I
out of their
oh.
way. I don't want to say any names.
Well,
on
you don't
it.
have to say names. I just want an
But
example of
I
the
think
situation.
I don't know. I think Glitch may relate to on what I'm saying there. Maybe. There's been people. Let me put it this way: there has been some people online before, and it's multiple people. It's not. I'm not going to just call out one person. I'm not going to call out anybody because people have done it. There's been people I know, people that I don't know, etc., that have done things like where it seems like they were
Oh, you guys do that? Sorry.
they were reaching a little bit. You know what I mean? Like what I mean by reaching is they were digging into something that could be seemingly taken as ableism, but it wasn't. But they were reaching. They were trying to make it seem like that was the intention, but it was really just the person was just a dick in general. You know what I mean? Like they were just a douchebag in general, and it wasn't like they were specifically targeting one specific group. I can't
Right.
I can't give an exact example because obviously I don't want to.
Point is, there's a lot of dicks out there in the world.
Yeah, and I'm just saying there's a difference between someone just being a fucking asshole versus someone just being straight up like on a rampage or going out of their way to basically be like, no, handicapped people are inferior and they suck, and I don't know.
Well, that's because they do.
Right? They don't. What the fuck? No.
I can barely stand to be seen with you guys.
I can barely stand myself anymore.
I'm gonna catch your illnesses.
I want to
Next
catch
thing
that.
I know, I'm gonna be blind and
catch
withering.
that not walking.
I know, right?
It's got to be careful. You might catch no walking.
Catch that no leg syndrome. Come on now.
Or you might catch some blindness if you get too close to John.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Because he's so contagious.
Totally.
Sure is.
Quarantine him immediately.
Going back on course, like this kind of relates to what I said last week. Is like even maybe this is because I haven't always been crippled my entire life. I came into the club late.
You came into the party late.
Yeah, I wasn't invited. I was thrown in. But I feel like I sometimes too will still have that same mentality where I look at someone who's disabled and be like, oh, how do I approach this situation to the point where I'm not going to offend them? And then I have to get over that speed bump and remind myself like, oh yeah, that's right. Just talk to them like I would any other person.
Yeah, and see, that's another thing that I've noticed that I think is a problem. I think it's a problem how there's it seems like a lot of places on the internet nowadays kind of dictate the way that dictate us to make us feel like, oh, we can't say that, we can say this, but we can't say that. And I feel like I've fallen victim to that, where it's like, and I'm not saying that I wanted to say like horrible things, but my thing is that I believe that I don't know, I want people to be genuine, and I feel like sometimes a lot of the corporations, like what you see going on with YouTube and other stuff like that, they kind of do like or I guess this whole cancel culture thing, where they will cancel someone out because someone was able to read into something and pull something out that, someone said this line in a song, and oh, this must mean that they're against, they're telling this group to shut the fuck up and not talk, and that makes them a sexist or a racist, or they'll just try to find whatever they can, and then they'll get one of the many lovely subgroups out there on one of the social medias all fired up, and then they'll completely destroy someone's career, just out of,
Well, the thing is, those kind of people are outliers, and we can't worry about the outliers.
Yeah, and it's just annoying that it exists. It's frustrating.
What I've learned from statistics is you have to ignore the outliers when you're trying to find the median, because the outlier will affect the mean or the average and bring it down or bring it up in a way that you don't want. So that's why you go for
Yeah.
the median. You ignore the outliers, let them be, and just fuck them in the butt.
Yeah, but I mean, but I also think that there's like there's this other culture that's going on where it's like almost like this only talk about positivity only, and it seems like it's a, I don't know, it's quite a huge thing within the community of like of streamers. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong about being positive, but I'm talking about where people are actually like canceling people out for talking about anything negative at all, like anything negative. And I'm just like, that's not good. That's not good. We need to talk about things, and we need to have a dialogue, and things need to be open. And I just feel
The
like that's,
beauty of
yeah,
freedom of speech is everyone should be allowed to say whatever the fuck they want.
yeah,
And if you say something wrong, then you should be punished. But or you say something right, you should be rewarded or not rewarded. You should.
yeah,
The point is, judge someone on their merits after they've had their say. And if they say something bad, then let them know that it was bad. Or if they say something good, let them know it was good. The point of freedom of speech
yeah,
is we get to say whatever the hell we want. And if you just, it. There's this one thing that it's Family Guy, oddly enough, which I don't even like Family Guy anymore. But there's
yeah,
this one quote
yeah.
in there that has always stuck with me, where Peter goes like, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death your right to say it."
Yeah, yeah, and that's where I think
Exactly.
like one thing that I've noticed that's really ticked me off is like comedy being actually people actually like um going at these comics like for just trying to make light of situations, telling them that a certain joke may not be suitable. And I understand. I'm not like, I get how some jokes may be offensive, but I feel like someone should at least we should at least fight for the right for someone to be able to attempt at the comedy, even if there's a group of people that don't like it. Because I mean, shit, there was stuff that Andy Kaufman was doing that people didn't fucking like. He didn't really give a shit because the whole thing with him was that he just cared about amusing himself. He didn't give a fuck about anything else. He just wanted to give himself a laugh. And if it gave him a laugh, then fuck it. He didn't really care.
My view on the matter is we live in a connected world full of a lot of information.
Yeah.
If you don't like what you're seeing or what you're hearing, just go look elsewhere. It's not that hard to take 2 seconds to click a button and change a web page.
Right, exactly. If you don't like it, there's a button. There's a button for that. It's an X.
To add to that, though,
Yeah.
you also need to be willing to be open-minded and willingness
Yeah.
to change, because if you find something that you don't agree with, and let's say that you are wrong, let's say
Yeah.
let's
Okay.
let's talk about racism for a second, since that's a big thing in the topic. Like, let's say
Yeah.
a racist finds something on the internet that he doesn't like, which is about like treating everyone equally,
Yeah,
and
which
such.
is pretty universal.
But
Like,
and then he could go find some racist web page and agree with that, and then he'd have his fills. But you know what? He needs to have that ability of openness to be able to be like, hey, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am seeing things in the wrong way. I have to, you know, empathize with the opposite side and see and reevaluate where
right.
my stance is.
Unfortunately, you can thank social media for that because they like to promote engagement and eyeball time. And what's the best way to get eyeball time? Show people
Create an
things
echo
they
chamber.
like. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Echo chamber where everyone is agreeing and saying the exact same thing, and if anyone brings out an opposite opinion, they're automatically shunned, whether it's a good one or a bad one.
Yeah.
And the moment two echo chambers collide, we have Twitter wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've seen that go. I've seen some crazy things go down in there.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just, man, I swear, if I wasn't actually trying to do anything with like talk shows or Twitch or anything, I would have no involvement in Twitter. Like I'd have absolutely no involvement in it. There are good things about it where there's interactions that have come about as a result of like, giving me the ability to work with game devs, for example, on a game. Like that's awesome. Like that's awesome that I'm able to communicate with them that way. They share what I'm doing with their game. That's an example of where it works out well. But I mean, but I also feel like recently I made the choice to say fuck the news. Like I am no longer watching any of that crap because I just feel like even if I am just taking it as a grain of salt and just like kind of having it on in the background, like I don't know, there's just nothing good to come out of it because I just feel like all it is opinion-based bullshit. There's no actual real reporting going on anymore in most cases, and I just feel like it's a waste of time. I feel like, and the fact that a lot of the a lot of the a lot of the media and stuff we consume, it's all owned by like 6 companies. There's like 6 companies, just 6 companies that own all that stuff. Disney's included in that.
Well, it's
New,
all about
you
where
know,
you get your news sources from
right?
too, because
You
you
got
got
to,
like
yeah,
if you
yeah,
watch the news, like the mainstream media,
yeah.
that's fine, but don't let that be your only source.
No, because I just,
Go out,
yeah,
find some other source, find some contradictory sources, and see where the middle ground really is. You know,
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like some of these news channels like very clearly have an agenda. Because obviously, I mean, I'm not talking about sides here, but we know that Fox tends to be really conservative. We know that MSNBC, CBS, CNN, stuff like that tends to be a little bit more on the liberal side. So you don't end up getting any middle ground on those. You will never see middle ground on those because it's one extreme or the other. What do you want? And my thing is that take it for a grain of salt when you watch these things. But at the same time, I just felt like there was a lot better stuff that I could be looking at. There was a lot better shit that I could be looking at than just watching some news fucking channel. I'm not going to say that you're wrong for watching it, but I'm just going to let you know that it could definitely alter. It's going to definitely leave you stuck in a sort of echo chamber, if you will, of people that
if that's your only source.
if that's your only source, it puts you in an echo chamber, and then there's another problem: only discussing these things with people you agree with. That to me is gets you nowhere because my thing is that some of the best conversations and some of the best things that have like really been profound conversations in my life have resulted from talking to a friend that I didn't agree with. There's been
That's why I like to play devil's advocate a lot in conversations because I want to
yeah,
try and play the opposite side and then see what the person I'm talking to, what their real perspective is. You know.
right, and I feel like that's something that I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I just feel like there's just I think another thing is a lot of people don't take the time to listen. Just because you listen to what someone has to say doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Just at least listen to them. I'm talking like really listen, not just listen and make it seem like, you care just so that way you can get your 2 cents in. I'm talking about actually listening, like actively
Yeah.
listening and being like, "Oh, well, I could see that coming from that point of view. I could see where you're coming from." Because I mean, ultimately, our ideas come from the environment that we were raised in, the people that were around, the experiences that we've had. Because my experience is not the same as Ricky's and not the same as John's, but there are some things that we can relate on. But we all had different life experiences, and it's ultimately how we kind of come to our like ideas. But we got to be willing to kind of try to look at things in a non-biased way, which is not an easy task, by the way, because sometimes there's some things that I found out that were facts that were not something that I necessarily was like, oh, this kind of sucks that this is true, you know,
Yeah.
like the harsh realities, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess
Well,
we're kind of
I think
winding
that's a
down.
good. On that note, I think that's a good thing to wrap things
Yeah,
up before we get too political and heated.
I kind of agree on that.
yeah, I think we
We were
covered.
we were starting to get there, starting to get pretty close to that.
Yeah, we danced on the line, but we didn't cross it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know. I just thought it was just, no, it's just, I think things are
Hey, it's all
nuts.
good. It was a good conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we want. I mean, I just don't, I don't know. But any ways, is there anybody from the audience that may have anything that they took away from that, or might want to comment on comments, questions, concerns? I don't know what we're going to do about a concern. I mean, I'll try my best.
You listen to the concerns.
I'll listen to your concern, and then we'll figure it out from there.
That sounds like a good idea.
Let's see if anyone chimes in.
We'll give it a few minutes.
We had a few people coming in and out.
Yeah, I mean, most of it's just people watching, but that's fine too, because I mean, obviously this is going to be stuff we post on YouTube, which I'm gonna probably post it pretty quickly. Like literally after we end this, I'm probably gonna click that export button. Like that's a super easy thing to do. Because I could just like upload it like right there, which is cool.
Oh.
Righto.
Alrighty then. Well, if we have no questions from the audience, then here we go. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wheel Life Problems. You can subscribe to us wherever podcasts are found, or subscribe to us on PoopTube, YouTube,
or right here on the Twitch. Hit that heart button. You know you want to.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter. We are at Problems Wheel. You can follow me on the socials. I'm at the Rickles. Can't find me on Twitter though, because I'm not going to be anywhere near that shithole. You can follow Bill at Wheelchair Gamer, and you can follow John at Glitched Vision. Thanks again, and remember to keep it wheel.
Indeed. Have a good one. Don't live for the future.
There you go.
In 2020.
Yep, I was waiting for it. There you go. All right.
My brain almost.
Bye, y'all.